This is Anglia Tonight. Thanks for joining us for Friday's programme.
Welcome to half an hour of local news from your part of the region. Caring for the carers. As MPs call for more financial support for those who devote their lives to others, we revisit one of our carers of the year.
More in just a minute. Also on the programme, caught on camera, the young girl who had a very lucky escape when a car crashed backwards through a shop window.
Plus, do you know where you're going to? We ask whether the sat-nav generation is now unable to read a basic road map.
Hobo finds a new home, the latest chapter in the life of the abandoned German Shepherd.
And I love to ride my bicycle. Rhiannon Mills takes us on a tour of Bedfordshire for our final Summer on Your Doorstep. So first tonight, the call for more financial support for carers, those who devote their lives to helping family members or friends. 1 in 8 adults across the country is a carer. That equates to around 6 million people, and many of them survive on very little money. Well, our reporter, Carl Heidel, has been back to meet one of ITV Anglia's Carers of the Year to see how she is coping.
Isabel.
It's tough looking after her 3-step grandchildren. But Tanya Kettleborough from Lings in Northampton does her best at living on a shoestring. 6-year-old Shannon has severe learning difficulties and was taken away from her mum. Now Tanya, who's only 50, looks after her 24/7. She can't work and she thinks carers deserve more money from the government.
I do, because it's not just being a carer, you are everything for them. If you've got them here living with you 24/7, you've got to do everything.
Now MPs like Sally Keeble want the benefits system for unpaid carers to be revamped.
There's a big sort of groundswell of opinion to have the role of carers properly recognised and to make sure that the money is there to match.
According to Carers UK, carers save the economy £87 billion a year. That's on average over £15,000 per carer. The main carers benefit is currently £50.55 for a minimum of 35 hours, the equivalent of £1.44 an hour. Currently, the minimum wage for over 21-year-olds is £5.52. Locally in Northamptonshire, there are 59,000 carers that are known about.
These are people who are given up life opportunities to look after people in their own families that have got long-term illnesses or disabilities. So without them, really, it would be very difficult for services to cope with that.
In Milton Keynes, Ryan Weaver looks after his 2 blind parents. He is only 10 years old.
Please send your child in their usual school.
His parents say they wouldn't know what to do without him.
I'm very proud of Ryan, of what Ryan has done, extremely proud, but I am very, very conscious and feel very guilty to the fact that a lot of Ryan's childhood has been taken up with looking after me and his mother.
Carers like Ryan save the government millions of pounds a year, and county councils say it will be a massive financial burden if they had to pay outside agencies for the care.
Now, if it was paid carers going in, it would cost around about £20 an hour. Now, if you work that out for our 59+ thousand carers across Northamptonshire, it would actually cost in excess of £24 million, which is a huge amount.
So, until the MPs manage to change the system, carers who've given up their jobs and much else besides will have to live on just over £50 a week. Carl Heidel, Anglia News, Northampton.
Next tonight, the moment a young girl narrowly avoided being crushed by a car which smashed through a shop window.
Well, she was left covered in glass but miraculously unhurt after the accident at the Premier supermarket in Huntingdon. And the whole thing was caught on CCTV. Emma Baker has the story.
A shop floor on a quiet morning. Just one customer, a little girl browsing the shelves. Before this happens. A car comes crashing through the shop window in Huntingdon, missing the young girl by inches. It happened at around about 10:30 in the morning. The car came flying through this window, smashing glass everywhere. It forced 2 shelves over, toppling this shelf forward. That then pushed into this shelf, moving the whole of the displays into the middle of the shop floor. It was incredible that no one was hurt.
We just heard a big bang and that was it, because we didn't know what was happening. We were running in and out, stocking up our shelves and serving the customers. Luckily there was no customers here, only one girl, and she was in the middle line. So we just dragged her out, and next thing we saw, the car is already in the shop.
Witnesses say that the man, who was in his 60s, had been trying to reverse out of his parking space when he seemed to lose control of the car. It ploughed into another car before crashing through the shop window.
It was very shocking because you can imagine he'd gone straight through the plate glass window, so there was glass absolutely everywhere, and all you could see from the car was its bonnet. Couldn't see anything else, and quite a lot of people around the area were quite shocked because it's not the sort of thing you expect.
The car that was hit was owned by Esther Forshaw. She was with her 9-year-old grandson Jordan at the time. She says it was only by chance that she didn't leave him waiting in the vehicle.
Heard this almighty bang, turned round to look to see what it was, and seen this car reversing straight into the shop window. So I said to Jordan, I said, that car's just reversed straight into the shop window. I said, don't believe it, it's just gone straight in the shop window. Went over, not realising that the almighty bang I heard was my car being smashed into the concrete pillar.
The driver of the car could now be prosecuted for driving without due care and attention. Meanwhile, the shop window has been boarded up and it's back to business as usual. While the car did cause its fair share of damage, everyone is only too aware it could have been so much worse. Emma Baker, Anglia News, Huntingdon.
What an amazing escape.
Incredible.
All round. Now, if you've ever been stuck on a jam on the A11, well, let's face it, we all have, haven't we? You're probably one of thousands of drivers desperate for the road to be widened.
The 9-mile stretch between Thetford and Barton Mills is notorious for accidents and, of course, congestion.
Well, today, motorists have been asked to sign a petition calling for the last single carriageway section of the road to be dualled sooner rather than later. Here's John Francis.
On the roadside in Elvedon this morning, council leaders and MPs confirming what they already knew. This is the worst bottleneck between London and Norwich. Today they launched what they hope will be a last push to get the Transport Secretary, Ruth Kelly, to get the dualling started before the Olympics rather than after.
This is a way of sending a message from the people. This is people power at its best. Because my constituents are sick of the carnage on this road, sick of the traffic jams, all the economic consequences of it, and of course the people of Norfolk are suffering too.
Norfolk in particular is the only county in England that does not have a dual carriageway linking it to a national road trunk network. And if we're going to realise our true economic potential, this road needs to be dualled.
In July, the East of England Regional Assembly made completing the dualling of the A11 its top priority. Although the Department of Transport has agreed in principle a possible start date of 2012 to 2013, no money has yet been set aside. Today, the partnership of local councils, MPs and business people called for the work to get underway before the end of 2010.
We've already made a very firm case to government, and we've presented evidence that this road would save £600 million if it was dualled and be a benefit to the Norfolk economy as well as the residents, and also help reduce the countless accidents that take place on the road every year.
Today the council's launched a petition which local people are being encouraged to sign. At this Thetford supermarket, they didn't need much persuading.
And I've just driven down the A11 and we just sat there for about half an hour solidly, just didn't move. And it's just frustrating, and it's just the major road into this area.
My daughter-in-law has to drive to London every day, and that first half hour, 3/4 of an hour is on that silly road.
Well, I've lived here since '67, and there's been so many accidents on that road as well.
Traffic jams, constant traffic jams. Yes, it's been needed for years, absolute years.
The petition is available in Norfolk and Suffolk libraries and online. Norfolk County Council has even turned to the social networking website Facebook, where people usually share gossip and funny videos, to form a group calling for dualling of the A11, and more than 600 people have signed up already.
John Francis reporting there. The man who was killed in a road accident which seriously injured a former England footballer owned a stud farm in Northamptonshire. Racing agent Tim Corby died in the crash on the M1 on Wednesday. He was well known on the racing circuit and owned a house at Titchmarsh. His friend and the former Norwich centre-forward Mick Channon is in hospital with multiple injuries.
There are severe delays on the A1M southbound near Stevenage after a serious accident this afternoon. 2 lanes of traffic were closed. The road, though, is expected to get back to normal from 7 this evening.
Plans for a 5,000 home development near Ely in Cambridgeshire have been thrown out by the government. There have been long-running protests against the Miram project, which local residents and councils claimed would have caused huge traffic problems and been disastrous for the area.
Anglian Water has sent out letters offering compensation to 100,000 homes whose water was contaminated in Northamptonshire earlier this year. Customers in Northampton and Daventry had to boil their water after traces of cryptosporidium were discovered at the Pittsford Reservoir in June. People affected are being offered on average £25, and that's the cost of 6 weeks' water supply.
A hotel in Orton Longville near Peterborough had to be evacuated this afternoon after workmen dug up what was believed to be Second World War explosives. The bomb squad was called to the Orton Hall Hotel to carry out a controlled explosion. A wedding at the venue has had to be postponed until tomorrow.
OK, still to come on Anglia tonight. How much do you rely on your sat-nav?
And the return of an old friend.
I'm with Hobo as he settles into his new home. See how he's doing later in the programme.
Plus, I like driving in my car. We're at Silverstone ahead of the weekend's British Touring Car Championship.
And she loves to ride her bicycle. Rhiannon takes us on a tour of her favourite places in the heart of Bedfordshire.
And I'll be here with your weekend weather. It's going to be a bit of a scorcher tomorrow, but it looks like there could be some thunder on Sunday. Join me at 6:25.
Well, time now for a story that really has a happy ending.
Yes, now remember last month we told you about Hobo, a dog who'd been a victim of one of the worst cases of neglect and cruelty that animal charities and vets had ever seen.
Hobo has made a remarkable recovery and today started a new life with his new owners. Neil Bradford reports.
For the past month, they have nursed Hobo back to health. So for staff at the PDSA hospital in Northampton, today was an emotional farewell. He first arrived there in July, emaciated beyond recognition and resembling a walking skeleton. Vets described his condition as the worst case of neglect they had ever seen. But what a difference a month makes. Arriving at his new home in Bedfordshire this afternoon, Hobo wasted no time in getting to know his new carers. They first heard about his plight on this programme.
I felt sick and I cried. He just looked like a walking X-ray. Bones. I just felt really sick and I just sort of wanted to bring him back here because I know we can help him to recover.
Well, this is quite a remarkable turnaround. When I first met Hobo, he barely resembled a dog, let alone a German Shepherd. And he seems to be already settling into his new home, exploring every nook and cranny. And he's actually very strong.
He's just improved so much inside of a week. He's inquisitive. He seems to have that new lease of life, you know, which is what we said he needed. And he'll have that and more.
The RSPCA is still investigating who allowed Hobo to endure such immense suffering. If convicted, they could face a £20,000 fine and up to 6 months in prison. Luckily for Hobo, his life sentence of neglect has been replaced with pastures new. Neil Bradford, Anglia News, Shillington in Bedfordshire.
What a nice happy ending. If that didn't put a smile on your face, then you must be pretty hard-hearted. OK, on to sport. Friday night sport, football and rugby coming up with Stuart.
Yeah, who's out on the road, or more precisely, on a track. Where exactly are you, Stuart?
I'm at Silverstone, where they're expecting 40,000 people, perhaps more this weekend. Tickets still available for the penultimate weekend of the British Touring Car Championship. And it also happens to be celebrating its 50th anniversary. Let me just turn back the clock, because this was how the British Touring Car Championship was decided back in 1958. Jack Sears and Tommy Sopworth in a race-off in 1.5 Rileys, won by Sears, who incidentally will be here on Sunday, along with a cavalcade of old cars, including one of those Rileys, and a lot of famous old drivers to mark the occasion. Well, this is what the current 2008 touring cars look like. This is the Seat of Jason Plato, prepared here in Northamptonshire. It looks like a road-going car, but it's very different, isn't it?
It is, and that's what touring cars is all about. You know, the fans and the spectators and everyone on TV can associate with these cars because, you know, they look like everyday cars, but underneath the skin, then they're, you know, it's a full-blown racing car.
Now, in the last outing at Knock Hill, you won 2 out of the 3 races. You're the only driver who can challenge the championship. What are your chances?
Chances aren't tremendously good, to be honest. We've, you know, we're a wee bit behind the point. Still mathematically possible, but it would take a little bit of misfortune to strike Fabrizio. That said, we've had a fair bit of that ourselves this year. So, you know, this is touring cars. Anything can happen.
And you do like Silverstone briefly?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, this is the home of British motorsport. It's been a year since we've been here, so it's great to be back.
OK, Jason, good luck. Well, let's move on to football because it's the 3rd round draw of the Carling Cup tomorrow. And that's when League One Northampton will know who they're going to play as a reward for beating or knocking out Premiership Bolton in midweek. Jim Rice looks ahead to the weekend fixtures, the last games, incidentally, before the transfer window closes.
Hot off the press, Mark Bunn was at training this morning, but as of this afternoon, he's no longer a Northampton player. The Cobblers have agreed a fee with Premier League Blackburn for the keeper. The rest of the squad are heading north too, including Carling Cup hero Adebayo Akinfenwa. And with those stitches refusing to heal, it's all about the headbands at Sixfields.
Like I've had it all, I look like a Guinness and that, but I'll maybe start patterning the headbands and put my name on it and try and sell it in a club shop.
MK Dons begin life after Keith Andrews at home to Swindon. The midfielders' £1 million reunion with Paul Ince at Blackburn, them again, means Dean Lewington steps in to take over as captain. There's a new signing in the ranks at Peterborough. Dominic Green has joined from Dagenham on a 4-year contract. And he could be joined by Ebbs Fleet striker John Akinde in talks at London Road. In the Championship, as one prepares to leave Portman Road, another is arriving. Maurice Volz has signed from Premier League Fulham in time to play at Watford. In the yellow of Norwich last season, Martin Taylor will be back in blue as he and table-topping Birmingham visit Carrow Road. Taylor may have his hands full now Arturo Lupoli has found his scoring touch. In League Two, Luton's Carling Cup mauling at the hands of Reading will no doubt have its repercussions. But Mick Harford says keeper Conrad Logan wasn't to blame for any of the infamous 5, and he'll keep his place tomorrow. Jim Rice, Anglia News.
And a reminder of where you can see all the goals from tomorrow's games. It's right here, of course, on ITV1 Anglia, Sunday tea time, Anglia Goals. That's in our programme, which begins at 6 o'clock. It's also, of course, the first preliminary round of the FA Cup tomorrow. All the details on ITV Local on our website. Just go to itvlocal.com/Anglia for all the results. And we'll have highlights from one particular game, Soham against Needham Market. That should be available on Monday. And the new rugby season is also upon us. Bedford start their National League One campaign tomorrow at home to Manchester. And I've been to meet 3 of their players of different nationalities. They all share the same house together in Bedford with boxer dog Monty. There's Marco, an Italian passport holder, but with an Australian accent.
My dad's Italian, mum's Australian. I lived the first 22, 23 years of my life in Australia, but I've lived 2 years in Rome as well, so yeah, half-half.
There's James, a Canadian World Cup international, also with an Aussie accent.
I'm born and bred in Australia. My grandfather was born and raised in Canada. He lived over there for a while before moving to the UK. Meeting my grandmother and then moving out to Australia. So got a bit of everything in me.
And there's Brendan.
Yeah, I'm just Irish. There's no Mongol breed in me at all, so just Irish.
The trio are united by one common bond. They all play rugby for Bedford Blues.
It's quite handy with the 2 boys because they're Aussies and the Irish and Aussies get on quite well, so it's a good household to live with.
Bedford have made wholesale changes this summer. 17 players have gone, 16 newcomers have arrived. And, like all businesses, the credit crunch is affecting rugby.
We're trying to do the best we can on a limited budget and provide entertainment on a Saturday afternoon for the people of Bedford. We do it reasonably well, but like anything, we want to be competitive, and that does cost money. So we'll keep trying our best and trying to squeeze some more money from wherever we can, really.
Bedford have won all 3 of their pre-season games, including this one, convincingly, against National League 2 side Cambridge last weekend. By the way, Monty is Greek, but that's another story.
Our thanks to Stuart with the sport tonight. Now, how are you at map reading?
Perhaps you've given up and now rely on sat-nav.
Well, apparently technology is reducing our need to learn map reading and also depriving us, though, of a sense of our culture and history.
So are they right? Fiona Mills has been investigating around Northamptonshire.
The sat-nav's in place, and to be safe, I've also printed off a map from the internet. I want to go from Northampton to Wellingborough, and it looks pretty straightforward. Both systems tell me to take the A45, and 12 miles of dual carriageway later I should be there. Sure enough, it's quick and easy, though of course sat-nav is not always so reliable. Remember Earl Spencer's daughter Kitty, who was taken by taxi to Stamford Bridge in Yorkshire instead of the home of Chelsea Football Club? And people living in the picturesque village of Lavenham in Suffolk are no lovers of technology. One sat-nav system's been sending heavy lorries through the village, not round it. But what the Royal Cartographic Society is concerned about is losing years of map-making skills and missing out on the process. I'm now armed with my Ordnance Survey map, and I've enlisted the help of Dr. Tom Welsh from the University of Northampton. He's an expert in maps, both paper and digital. He's helped pick out a couple of points of local and historic interest along our alternative route. First stop, very much off the beaten track, is Clifford Hill. Okay, well, this has got to be it, hasn't it? But you'd actually miss it if you didn't have the map, wouldn't you? So
yeah. You'd have to know just exactly what you were looking at.
Part of the landscape, but actually it's of significant interest, isn't it, historically?
Yeah, well, it's probably the 3rd largest artificial mound in England after Sobury and Thetford Motte. So it's a pretty significant monument.
Back in the car and through some lovely Northamptonshire countryside into the village of Earls Barton. This time it's a motte. Its origins are a bit of a mystery and of huge interest to local historians. And last on our slow trip to Wellingborough, a stop off at a village pub in Great Doddington. But does the increasing reliance on modern technology really matter?
I'm fascinated by maps and will spend hours poring over them, but most people have a practical objective with a map to see the best route to get from A to B. They're not going to be distracted by the things to the side unless they're going much slower and they're tourists and they want to see things to visit.
If you want to reach your destination quickly, digital technology can be extremely useful. But if you're tempted to go the scenic way, taking the time to look at a map is a great way to find out a bit more about the countryside around you. Fiona Mills, Anglia News.
Now to the final instalment of our Summer on Your Doorstep series, when our presenters and reporters take us on a tour of their favourite sites.
Well, tonight, Rhiannon Mills grabs her bike as she explores Route 51 in Bedfordshire between Great Barford and Bedford.
Summer for me is all about getting out and about. The fresh air, the sunshine, if and when we get to see it. And if you're out on your bike, well, you could almost have a fun day out for free. In fact, our region has a bit of a history when it comes to cycling. Did you know that the tandem and the ladies' bicycle were actually invented in Biggleswade? And of course, most recently, we've had that amazing Olympic gold medal won by Stotfold's Victoria Pendleton in the cycling.
No Olympic feats for me. Instead, I'm taking you and my cameraman Jonathan on one of my favourite bike rides across Bedfordshire. Route 51 takes you all the way from Colchester to Oxford on the National Cycle Network. Today, we'll just be going from Great Barford into Bedford. Our first stop, the village of Willington.
Well, people obviously haven't been cycling here for 2,000 years, but they have been living here.
Roy and Gail Lee run a cafe and wild bird collection here. Little did they know when they bought it, they were also getting a Viking settlement.
What you're looking at is the actual outer side of the harbour of Danish Camp. It is a moated site which was dug out by the Vikings. So it is actually a major site. As I say to people that come out, you've got to use your imagination. The trouble is with the Vikings and that, they didn't leave much behind.
In the past it was Danish settlers, now it's more Danish pastries.
Absolutely, yes. I think we're quite renowned for our Danish pastries and clotted cream scones. It's just a meeting and greeting place of family and friends mainly. That's all we hoped it ever would be.
No time to chat now as we head on towards Bedford, and this is why I and plenty of others love this route so much. Generations of the Sweetser family cycle along here.
It's the fresh air that we like, and exercise, and also the that we don't have no traffic around.
Normally the weather's pretty good. I mean, just enjoy the countryside because it is a very pleasant ride.
I often come out riding with my mum and dad, so I thought I'd bring her onto it and gradually get her up to the 8-mile round trip, is it, from Sandy?
And they are clearly fitter than me.
Oh, I hate cycling up here. Just getting up that hill to get to the top of this bridge is pretty exhausting. I think that Jonathan, my cameraman, would probably agree with that as well. But really, it's all worth it when you think you don't have to be sitting down in that traffic.
In the next 15 years, most of the land from Willington to Bedford will be a nature lover's oasis. It's going to be transformed into Bedford's River Valley Park, linking up with the green open space of Priory Marina Country Park. A place for water sports and some serious wildlife spotting.
A lot of people come to the park for the first time and say, I've lived in Bedford years and I never knew it was here. We're one of the best places in the county for otters. We're a good place for bats as well. We have a lot of bats that come to the park.
But with showers looming, it was time to head for home. A short cycle takes you right into the centre of Bedford along the beautiful embankment, and a chance for some recuperation.
And I think that you probably deserve one too.
Of course you can go further, but for today 6 miles of pedalling was plenty enough for me. Rhiannon Mills, Anglia News on Route 51 in Bedfordshire.
She deserves that ice cream, doesn't she?
I bet she's got stiff legs after that, don't you? Here's the weather forecast now from Amanda Houston.
Secure online banking from Norwich and Peterborough, sponsors of Anglia Weather.
Hello again. Well, we start the weekend with some warm, sunny spells, but we could end it with some thunder and showers. So, for much of today, there has been this sheet of cloud covering most of the UK. However, we've had a few sunny breaks in the eastern counties, and that cloud will break up more readily tomorrow, so more sunshine on the way for us at long last. So for the rest of today, it stays dry with a fair amount of cloud tonight, and it's going to be another mild night with temperatures getting down to around 14 degrees. So it will be a cloudy start to the first part of the weekend and still remaining dry. And by Saturday afternoon, the sunshine will burn through the cloud, making it feel very warm and sunny. And we could even see temperatures getting up to 26 degrees. That's 79 Fahrenheit. And it will still feel hot on Sunday, but we do run the risk of some heavy thunderstorms throughout the day. And temperatures, again, between 24 and 25 degrees, but feeling much cooler during any showers. And winds generally light to moderate, but they will be gusty in any thunderstorms. So the Met Office has issued a weather watch for Sunday, warning us of the risk of thunderstorms and showers. And we could see 15 to 20 millimetres of rain in places. That's nearly an inch. And into next week, cooler and fresher and more unsettled. Early rain clearing on Monday, dry for a time, but the showers return later. And it's more showers for Tuesday and Wednesday. Temperatures close to normal for early September.
Online banking from the experts at Norwich and Peterborough.
A Pimm's and lemonade. Discover the spirit of summer.
So we've still got a fair bit of cloud around tomorrow, but the sunshine will burn through places, making the UV index mostly 3s and 4s, which means there is a medium risk of sunburn, so you will still need to take care in any sunshine. And it's remaining a medium risk on Sunday and Monday, but becoming low on Tuesday. Bye for now.
Well, that's all from us for now. We'll be back with the headlines in a few minutes' time.
But from all of us here tonight, have a lovely weekend. Bye-bye for now.
Bye-bye.
Stranded, hundreds of passengers left in the lurch as another airline goes out of business. Going nowhere, the cut-price firm that couldn't pay its bills. Tonight, Zoom and bust, the travellers counting the cost of the airline's collapse.
What we've done, we spent 3,000 quid between 4 of us. We spent 2 days in sunny Glasgow, in a hotel in sunny Glasgow.